If you got a speeding ticket, you were guilty. That's what she thinks. And it makes sense, because usually they're guilty. And you know they're supposed to be innocent till proven guilty. But the truth is, we don't go out in society and arrest innocent people and charge them with crimes just to see if the system's working, right? We generally think that they're guilty. That's why we drag them in. So that's the communication blocker I'm going to try to address. For win-win, what's in it for the judge? There's always something in it for the judge, and there's always something in it for the other person. And the answer is that they feel good about helping you. Now, I was shocked to see your founder that he used to move a piano for $1, because that's pretty much why I quit, right? Because when there was a piano. I even got to the point where the people would say, hey kid, do you want the piano? You can sell it to someone, right? I tried it once, and I broke my friend's truck, and I decided, no, I don't want your piano even for free. I don't want your piano. The thing about win-win is you can make people feel good, right? So if I have people come over to my house to help me move the piano, right? Why would you help someone move a piano for no money? Well, the answer is because it's your friend, and because you feel good when you help your friend. So you can always make the other person feel good. I'm going to make the judge feel good. Two things. One, if you find me not guilty, you're saving yourself time. I don't plead not guilty, don't have to bring in the police officer. Second of all, she'll have that warm feeling because justice was done. Right? To be a persuasive messenger, I think the judge is going to take one look at me and decide guilty and lying, or maybe. And the best I can hope for is maybe. So I'm going to address appropriately. I didn't want to dress like this because I was afraid she would see me as a lawyer, and I thought it was a bit much for a speeding ticket. But I did think it was important how I dressed. So I tried to think to myself, what is the most honest garment you can find? The garment that just screams honesty. So I thought, besides lawyers, who's the group of people, besides lawyers, the group of people most known for being kind of slick and fast-talking? I came up with car salesmen. And I know when I go to the car, and by the way, sometimes I go to the car lot just for fun because I like to negotiate. Some people watch sports, I pretend to buy cars. We all have our hobbies. So at the car lot, what do we think of? Shiny shirt, shiny tie, shiny hair, everything's shiny, right? What's the opposite of shiny? Tweed. I decided to go with a tweed sport coat with the elbow patches. I decided to go with an out-of-style necktie. You may say, why out-of-style necktie? The answer is people who were kind of trendy and high fashion seem to be a little as fast talkers and slick. People who dress kind of in an old-fashioned way, old-fashioned values, down to earth. You may say, where did you get an out-of-style necktie? I'm a professor. I could have yanked one off the neck of any of my colleagues, right? If I had to get an in-style necktie, that would be a much harder battle. So I dressed the part. How am I going to avoid conflict and confrontation? What I'm going to do is not disagree with anything the judge says. Judge says speeding is the biggest problem facing America today. That's right, Your Honor. I agree. Right? I'm not going to change your mind about anything. I have to agree. There's no hope. So I'm going to try to get her to like me. Finally, information and misinformation. What I did was I called the smartest lawyer in Payne County, Oklahoma. That sounds like something, doesn't it? I called the smartest lawyer and I said, how do I get out of tickets? Give me some tips. She said, I'll give you tips. You're not going to do it. Nobody even tries. You got your ticket outside of the city limits. You're in county court with the felons and the misdemeanors. She hasn't let someone out of a ticket in maybe ever. Nobody even tries anymore. And a matter of fact, the management professor who made the bet, turns out he knew this because he tried. And that's why I made the bet. I would have given up right then, except I did make the bet, and I had to continue trying. So I go off to court, wearing my tweed sport coat, my out-of-style tie. I sat there for 3 hours. The felons went, the misdemeanors went. We get to traffic. They were right, just one other person besides myself. They called him. He stood up. She said, I don't change tickets. Everyone knows I don't change tickets. Only under the most bizarre circumstances would I even consider it. I'm not changing yours. Plead guilty or not guilty, but don't waste my time. He said guilty and asked if he could make monthly payments on his ticket. That was his big scheme, right? So then she called my name before my bottom was out of the chair. She said, didn't you hear what I told the other gentleman? I said, I did, Your Honor. And when you said bizarre circumstances, you gave me a ray of hope. I said, Your Honor, I'd like to apologize for wasting your time. Because I've been seated here for 3 hours. I see the serious cases that you have, and I know my case is not serious. A matter of fact, I'm not going to plead not guilty and waste any more of your time. But if you would please give me 2 minutes of your time, I'll throw myself on your mercy and be satisfied with the results. I say it's humanly impossible for her not to let me have 2 minutes. Would you agree with that? Wouldn't be fair. I sat there for 3 hours. She rolled her eyes and said, okay. I said, Your Honor, I don't have just this one speeding ticket in Payne County. Here's a copy of a speeding ticket I got 2 weeks before that in Manford. Now I can see what you're thinking. All of you have been taking copious notes on my hot tips. Now you're crossing them off. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Cross off all the notes. Why would you do that? And the answer, I think once I tell you, you'll say, all right, that's something. Right? And the answer is, how do you know when someone's telling the truth? When they speak against their interests. Right? What was my big communication blocker? She's not going to believe anything I say. Well, if I say, look, I got another ticket, I say she's much more likely to believe me, and the important thing here is that she's going to believe me. Right? If you say, we never do anything wrong, we've never done anything wrong, what have I learned? You got a revisionist view of the world, right? Or you're not being honest with me. But if you tell me the mistakes that you make, or the mistakes you usually make, or what happened last time, then I have confidence that you're being honest with me. So I showed her my other speeding ticket. I said, Your Honor, I've lived in Oklahoma for over 10 years. Not only have I not had a speeding ticket, I've never had a moving violation. And Your Honor, to show you that's true, I've gone to the tag agency and I've purchased a copy of my driving record, which I'd like to show you. I handed her my driving record because my communication blocker is that she doesn't think I'm telling the truth. And a kind of a sub-theme of what we're talking about today is instead of telling them, you have to show them. So the people who change their minds on McDonald's, the McDonald's case, it's because I showed you, it made you kind of see it and feel it instead of just hearing it because the words are kind of cheap. So I showed her that I'd never had a ticket before. I said, Your Honor, about a month ago my car was involved in an accident. Here's a copy of the accident report. Your Honor, I don't want you to think I'm a bad driver. I wasn't even in my car. It was parked on the street. A vehicle rolled into it and did a serious damage to the front end. Here's a receipt from the body shop, Your Honor, $7,000 done to the front end. I said, now, Your Honor, here's what I think happened. After 10 years of never having a speeding ticket, suddenly my car is involved in an accident. Right after the accident, I have a shimmy in the front end. I don't think the speedometer was working properly. I get 2 speeding tickets in a 2-week period for the exact same percentage over the speed limit. 66 and a 55, 77 and a 65. I said, Your Honor, I think my speedometer was broken, and here's a letter from a mechanic indicating that that's true. Right? Now, the letter was from a mechanic who also happened to be a student in my class. But he was a mechanic, and we did check the speedometer, and we found it wasn't registering properly. Right? She rolled her eyes and said, all right, I'll let you out a ticket, just don't tell anyone. Right? I said, how can I resist? I said, thank you very much, Your Honor. I appreciate it. The serious point of the story is, do you think if I just walked in without planning, do you think I would have been found not guilty? No. Right? It was all selling the facts. My story was true. I hadn't had a speeding ticket for 10 years. I was a careful driver generally. Careful meaning I put on the brakes when I see the police car. Right? But I hadn't had a speeding ticket for 10 years. So everything I said was true. We did check the speedometer. It wasn't working properly. So everything I said was true. But the point was I needed to get her to see it's true. And that's what the key to influence is. You have to sell the facts. So all that trouble I went to, a little bit ridiculous for a speeding ticket, but not for you and your business. You want to figure out, what do I have to do to get them to believe I'm telling the truth? I said, Your Honor, I'd like to thank you very much, Your Honor, and could I have my evidence back? She said, you're going to use this evidence in Manford, aren't you? I said, well, Your Honor, it worked so well this morning. I thought I might stop by Manford this afternoon. Right? And it works great in Manford. They'd never seen evidence before in this little small town, I know that. We're gonna